All right, welcome everyone. We are about to take a journey back in time to a single story that honestly shaped the very code of our world. We're going to walk verse by verse through the incredible, pivotal events of Genesis chapter 3. And we're not just going to look at the story, we're going to uncover its hidden secrets too.
But let's kick things off with a question. For you, out of all the questions in the entire biblical narrative, what do you think was the very first one ever asked? It wasn't about creation. It wasn't about purpose. Nope. The very first question was a challenge, a little seed of doubt designed to change reality itself. And it came from the most clever character in the story. So let's set the scene. I want you to picture the Garden of Eden. And don't just think of a pretty garden. Think of it as a state of being, a reality of pure, unfiltered connection to the divine. Adam and Eve are there in this perfect harmony. They didn't even know what shame or separation were. And into this perfection, a new character slithers onto the scene. The serpent, who the text tells us was more cunning, more shrewd than any other creature.
So just imagine it. You can almost hear the rustle in the leaves. The serpent, described as unbelievably shrewd, approaches Eve. And in that one moment, the whole vibe of the garden just shifts. That perfect, easy harmony is suddenly pierced by a single, incredibly powerful new idea: doubt.
Okay, now this is where we get to go on a little treasure hunt. Check this out. In the original Hebrew, the word used for the serpent's cunning is arum. Now get this. Just one verse before, the word used to describe Adam and Eve's nakedness is arom. See how similar those sound? Arum and arom? That is not a coincidence. It's a deliberate hint, a clue left for us in the text, telling us that the serpent's cleverness was perfectly tailored to prey on their pure, unveiled innocence. It's a key that unlocks the whole interaction. And this is where we get into the sod, the real secret layer of the story. From a mystical point of view, the serpent isn't just a talking snake. No way. Ancient texts, like the Zohar, tell us it's a cosmic force. You could almost think of it as the source code for doubt. It's the Yetzer Hara, that inner voice that always wants to challenge things, to create separation. It's like spiritual static suddenly being blasted into a perfectly clear radio signal, designed to make us question the simple unity we once knew. And that brings us to the choice itself. The serpent asks its reality-bending question, did God really say? And now Eve is at a crossroads. The text says she looks at the fruit. She sees that it's good for food, that it's beautiful, and, this is the kicker, desirable to make one wise. And in that moment, she makes a choice. And this one choice, man, it just echoes through all of eternity. She eats, and then she gives some to Adam, who's right there with her, and he eats too.
Okay, hold on. We have to stop right here and ask the obvious question. Why? I mean, really, how could you risk a perfect existence, paradise, for a piece of fruit? If you're explaining this to a kid, it's pretty simple. She broke a rule. It just seems so reckless, doesn't it? Was it really just about simple disobedience?
Whoa. But look closer at the text. It gives us another huge clue. The tree wasn't just forbidden. It was desirable to make one wise. So maybe this wasn't an act of rebellion. Maybe it was an act of becoming. Maybe it was a deep human yearning for knowledge, for self-awareness, the very things that make us who we are. Maybe she wasn't just reaching for a piece of fruit. Maybe she was reaching for growth.
From a mystical perspective, what just happened wasn't just eating a piece of fruit. It was like a cosmic download. Think of it like this. They started out in a unified field, a direct Wi-Fi connection to the divine source. But their choice, it introduced a kind of data corruption. It created this new filter of self-consciousness between them and the source. And the result was a whole new operating system for reality. Everything we boots, their eyes were opened, and for the first time they saw a world of opposites, good and evil, life and death, spirit and matter. And the change, wow, it was instant, absolutely jarring. And the very first thing they experience in this brand new reality isn't some profound wisdom, it's shame. The simple fact of their physical bodies, something that was totally natural a moment before, now felt exposed, vulnerable. And their very first act as self-aware beings is to run and hide, to frantically cover themselves with fig leaves. And that's when you hear it, God's voice calling out through the garden with a single question, Ayeka, where are you? Now, the hint here is that God, who knows everything, obviously wasn't asking for their GPS coordinates. This wasn't about geography. This was the first and maybe the most important philosophical question ever asked of a human being. Where are you, spiritually? Where have you gone in relation to yourself? And where are you now in relation to me? And Adam's answer, it's so telling, isn't it? He doesn't say, I messed up. No, he says, well, the woman, the one you gave me, she's the one who gave me the fruit. He blames both Eve and God in the same breath. And then Eve, she does the same thing. She points the finger and says, the serpent tricked me. And just like that, the perfect unity they shared is shattered into a chain of blame. So what happens next? A lot of people see it as punishment, but it's really more like the new laws of physics for their new reality. Let's just walk through it. For the serpent, that force of opposition, it's now bound to the physical world, forced to crawl on its belly. For the woman, the beautiful act of creation now becomes a physical struggle, symbolized by the pain of childbirth. And for the man, getting food is no longer effortless. Sustenance now requires him to work the land by the sweat of his brow, to elevate the physical world through toil. And there's actually a name for this new dimension they've fallen into. In the mystical tradition of Kabbalah, it's called Olam HaAsiyah, which means the world of action. Just think of it as a place, our world, where spiritual truth isn't obvious anymore. It's hidden beneath the surface, and it's our job to reveal it through our actions and our hard work. But right here, in the middle of all of this, there's this incredible moment of pure compassion. God makes them garments of skin. Now check this out, because there's a beautiful secret here. In Hebrew, the word for skin and the word for light sound almost identical. So the mystical teaching is that they originally wore garments of light. Their souls were just radiant. And now they're given garments of skin. So the physical body isn't a prison. It's a protective vessel. It's like a spacesuit for the soul, designed to help it navigate this new, much denser reality.
And then it happens. The final, really heartbreaking scene. They're exiled. They're driven out of the garden. That gate to that perfect, unified dimension closes right behind them. And their direct, easy connection to the tree of life, it's gone.
And what's guarding the entrance? These powerful beings called cherubim and a flaming, turning sword. But think of this less like bouncers at a club and more like a spiritual firewall. It represents the new laws of consciousness that now separate our physical world from those higher spiritual dimensions. It's guarding the path to the tree of life, not to keep us out forever, but to protect that pathway until we're ready, until we've done the work to make the journey back.
Okay, so after that whole epic journey, what does it all mean for you and me today? I think it all comes down to that first reaction, the shift from unity to blame. The very first thing that happened the moment they felt disconnected was they started pointing fingers. And isn't that the start of almost every problem? That failure to just take responsibility?
So how do we start to fix that? Well, here is this week's challenge for all of us, kids and adults. We're calling it Own Your Choice. The next time you make a mistake, big or small, just for a second, resist that instinct to blame someone or something else. Just pause, take a breath, and say to yourself, I chose this and I will learn from it. That simple little act of ownership, that's the first step on the long road back to the garden. It's how we start to repair the cracks in our own worlds. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this complete journey through the Part S, through all 4 levels of this incredible story. We really hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. We would love to hear which part of this journey touched your soul, so please share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next chapter.